This is a Rife machine, you know, and it's called a GB4000 MOPA. This is the GB4000 part. This is the brains. Basically, what a Rife machine does is it uses frequencies to attack and kill diseases. In the 1930s, Royal Rife discovered the frequency that cancer lived at, and the way he did that was by building his own microscope that was so powerful that he could put live specimens underneath it. And when he put cancer underneath the microscope, he noticed it gave off a certain color, and that color is its frequency. So they also subsequently discovered that you can perturb that frequency that the cancer lived at with another frequency and kill it. Basically, it's really simple. If you can imagine a singer being able to shatter a glass with her voice.
She did it. You are now hearing the Memorex cassette tape recording we just made of Ella. Now you'll see a glass shatter again. But is it Ella or is it Memorex?
Then you can figure out how this technology works. So if you know the frequency that something lives at, you can use another frequency to kill it. They could explode your head with a frequency if they wanted to. Now this particular machine is the closest to the original Rife machine. You know, if you look at that right there, then you can see the microscope and the machine. There's the tube, there's the frequency part, and there's the amplifier part. So you got the brains, the amplifier, and the frequency delivery device. Now the way I like to explain this to people is that it's like a stereo. If you want to get a new stereo for your car, you're going to buy something that goes in your dashboard. That's this part right here. Okay, now if you like loud music, you want to bump real hard and you need some bass, and you want a couple subs in your back, well, you're going to need to get an amp. That's what that part is. That's an amp. Okay, and then this would be the subwoofer. This would be the frequency delivery device. This is what delivers what frequencies. And basically what this does is it spreads this frequency throughout basically this room in a really concentrated manner. But it's just like music, you know, if you sit real close to the radio, it's going to be louder. If you walk away from it, you'll still be able to hear it. If you walk in the other room, it's like in that room, there's music playing, okay? So you can still hear that music. So I'm still getting the effects of this frequency in the other room, per se. And that's really how simple it is. This does not have to be complicated. They don't need to spend billions and billions of dollars on things that may or may not work. This is using the law of physics in order to achieve its goals instead of the laws of chemistry and biology. And that's basically what it is. This machine is playing music. At the end of the day, it's music. It's not audible to the human ear, but it is music. And so I've coined the term music is the best medicine because it is. Now, if you take something like this machine, which uses the laws of physics, which is basically using sound, oscillations of sound in order to achieve its goals. And now you have something like the silver that we make here. Okay, so with the silver, what you see there is a antifungal, bacterial, parasitical, and viral. There's only 4 ways to corrupt a human cell, and that's one of those 4 things. So the silver is actually using physics too, okay? And the way the silver works is it takes a healthy cell. Once it's healthy, electrically speaking, it's positive. So once it becomes corrupted by one of these 4 things, now the cell is negative. So the silver ion goes in, it's positively charged, and it attaches itself. It's looking for these guys, negative things. Okay, and that's how the silver knows what to kill. And more importantly, that's how it knows what to leave alone. It's like a magnet. Boom, positive, negative. Grabs it, holds it, kills it. Leaves these guys alone. And so the reality is what you see here, and there, will replace internal medicine as you know it, because they're both natural. You can see results in your blood work if you have cancer, let's say. You know, you could use this machine one time. You could drink this much silver, you know, spray it in your mouth for 7 days. You can go get your blood work and it's going to show up. You know, if your cell counts are going that way, they're going to be going back the right way. And so that's why I do both these things, because they're both discernible in your blood work. And they're fast, and they're safe, and they're natural.
What are some of the most common health issues that people come to you with?
People come over here for candida, come over here for cancer, come over here for sexually transmitted diseases, fungus, mold, and they come over here for silver, you know. They come over here for wisdom, you know. They come over here out of curiosity. This is the frequency book. These are the frequencies that they've discovered, the moral frequencies for, let's say, arsenic poisoning. So, arthritis, you know, this is the complete frequency book of all the diseases that they've discovered, the frequencies. And you can enter these into this machine right here and run these frequencies. There is a place near Portland, Oregon, and McMinnville, Oregon, where they have half a dozen different kind of machines. They got one just like this. The machine that they have just like this, they added a $50,000 addition to their building just to have a place where they could put a dozen chairs around so people could go sit in front of it. And so when I found the opportunity to grab this machine, used off Craigslist a couple of years ago, I snapped it up. I didn't even know what I was going to do with it. And that's just kind of turned into this little sacred space here. It may be messy, you know, it may be cluttered, you know, because it doubles as my office, but it's humble and it's room enough for people to come in here. And another thing is a lot of people come in here bring their pets. You know, you would be amazed at how people see their pets. You know, I mean, they'll let their own ass be sick and suffering for months, but if Fido's got something wrong, he's fucking straight to the vet, you know. $350 later, you know, and they don't even have a diagnosis. That's just the visit. It's like, oh shit, what about the rent? Well, screw the rent, you know. But I've had a lady that brought her dog over with a limp size of a golf ball. Okay. 3 hours after she left here, she called me up or sent me a text message and said, oh man, it's like down 50%. The next morning it was like, oh, it's almost gone. And the next day she was like, oh, you know, people are pretty serious about their animals. Portland's a hotbed for this kind of activity. Okay, I would say way more than most places. Okay, I mean there's several people with this particular machine that let people come use it, and they all run off. Well, actually, one lady charges $20 to walk in the door, which is a pittance, and I run this off donation only, just like the sanctuary where I met the machine at. You know, that was one of the things after I got done, and I got up and I said, well, you know, how much do I owe you? What do I owe you? And they pointed to a little thing over there with a hole in the top that said donation. They go, well, you know, put whatever you got in there. And so I'm going, well, the first thing I thought was like, really? You know? And I had to ask her twice, 2 or 3 times, really? And she goes, oh yeah. I said, well, what if I don't have anything? She goes, well, don't let that stop you from coming back. And so the first thing that came to my mind after she said that was, wow, it's got to be real. It's got to be real if there ain't somebody trying to, you know, stick me up for all my money to use this stuff. And so...
So it's a way to save money then, because a lot of people that have candida issues or internal parasite issues, they spend a lot of money at Whole Foods and New Seasons for these items and supplements.
Oh, it's going to cost you $1,500 a month just in juicing and veggies if you want to do Gerson or something like that. It is. I like to call it a license to eat what you want again. Okay, and yeah, people and especially with worms and parasites, it's not only the worm and the parasite, but it's the obsession that people have about having a worm or a parasite that's equally as destructive as the worm or parasite. It's just, just the obsession about it. And, when you start adding up all the money that people spend to try to kill these things, when you can come over here and really, you can kill them in 2 or 3 sessions, between this and that, these are really good combined.
It's little silver water that's being programmed or affected by the frequencies.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Let's say you have cancer, and you go to the doctor. They're going to give you 2 forms of treatment: radiation and chemotherapy. Okay? This would be the radiation goes through your body. These frequencies are going through your body right now. The chemotherapy goes in your body. The silver goes in your body. So the ability to run something through your body and the ability to have something to put in your body, that's how you can be, for example, free from stage 3 lymphoma, in 6 weeks. I can tell you my story when it comes to the how I met the Rife machine. I was in my 20s. I was had to go to residential drug rehabilitation. Okay, when you go to residential drug rehabilitation, they give you blood tests and they give you TB tests, pinprick. And I had tested positive for that test in my 20s, the pinprick test. And so I had, the doctor said, well, you don't have it, but you might get it when you get older. So, fast forward 25 years, and, I was older, and I started coughing in the morning. Okay, and, I live in Oregon, so it's okay to say this, but, I smoke pot in the morning. I have a medical card. I smoked cigarettes at the time. And so in the morning when I wake up and do my little routine, a bong hit and a cigarette, and I started coughing, and it turned into, a couple of minutes worth of coughing, more coughing than you should be doing, after you smoke good pot. And so I call it wake and bake. We call it wake and bake here in Portland. You get up and, you wake and you bake. So my wake and bake went from a couple minutes worth of coughing into about 45 minutes worth of coughing in about 6 months. And so I figured that, what the doctors had told me back in the day was, well, you might get it when you get older. Well, that was all the signs of me getting that, and I was older. And so I went online and I looked on what the doctor was going to give me for whatever protocol, and it entailed 16 months. It was a maybe, after 16 months that you might be rid of it, but there was a condition for 16 months. It was the no drinking condition, and that part wasn't. No drinking 16 months. I don't know about that. So actually, the coughing got to the point where at one point in time it was so bad that I was going to go do the cough. 16 months of drinking. I was in my car that day and I was on my way to the doctor to get a right and proper diagnosis, and something popped in my head about a place out in McMinnville, Chelsea Sanctuary, Carpenter's Grace. So I did. I went and turned my car around, went home, and I Googled the address, and I went out to the crazy place. And she handed me this book right here, and she goes, well, it's A to Z. And so I had to turn to that page right there, okay? And I asked her to run everything with that word in it, okay? Everything that, so she bum, 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 bum. So I sat there next to this same machine, just sat there, and I held that in my hand for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. I stayed on the machine longer than the hour that the sign said, there's an hour, people are waiting. The very next day, that was gone. It was gone. 45 minutes worth of coughing up green shit, yellow shit, black shit. The neighbors could hear me. Have you ever had one of those neighbors where you could hear them coughing down the street? Mm-hmm. That was me. Okay? And that was gone. the next day. You know, and I'm the colloidal silver guy. You know, and that wasn't even going to do it that fast. It would have taken me 6 months to do it on colloidal silver 3 times a day. But you know, after this machine killed it overnight, I've been pimping it ever since. You know, I've just been telling everybody I can. I've taken so many people out there, and when I got my own machine and you know made it available, you know, you met me at a public event,
And that was random through somebody else. Yep.
And somebody else who knew me, who met me through somebody else who knew me, and most of these people I've met through word of mouth. I don't really do any serious advertising. You know, I don't even really have it up on my website.
What's your website?
My website is colloidalsilverguy.com.
Okay.
Okay, I'll put my email in there, and if you go on my website, you can find my phone number if you want to speak to a real life person. Try to stay away from asking me things that have to do with specific, you know, will it cure this or cure that, because I won't even answer that question. I'll consider the question as something that you probably should know, you know, you shouldn't ask. And I won't tell you that it cures anything, but I can say that it'll kill cancer. I can say that it'll kill staph infection. I can say that it'll kill AIDS. I can say that it'll kill Ebola. Okay, that's not against the law. But for me to use the word cure in a sentence in the wrong context, then I get in trouble for that. So if you look at any of my websites or any of my postings, you'll notice the theme, and the theme is I stay away from that kind of thing, and I won't be baited into it. And the other thing is, I ain't here to convince people. Okay? You want to come to me, you have some sincerity in your heart, I'll help you best I can, but if you want to get into a debate about the efficacy of either one of these two things, I don't do that.
And what was the backstory to them shutting him down, and what time period was that?
In the 30s.
Okay.
The backstory is they did a test of 16 terminal patients, terminal from different things. You know, they were just all cancer, but they were all terminal. And he had 16 people, and they used the word cure, so I'll use it in this context. He cured all 16 of them within 20 weeks, 100% cure rate. And this was a test that was conducted by the AMA, the Mayo Clinic, the Scripps Institute in La Jolla, California, USC, UCLA, Northwestern University. They were all in on it, and when he proved that he could do what he said he could do, you know, of course you can't be having people cured from diseases with a little bit of electricity. The average markup on a Xanax prescription is 569,000%. Okay, between what the active ingredients and what they're charging. Actually, you can hear it real good right now. So when you have, you know, when I'm struggling to keep, you know, a 50% margin, you know, on my goods, and they're making margins in the neighborhood of 1,000,000%, you know, then you can understand the strength of the powers that be, and why people die for inventing things like this.